What you say is not just sound. It is state, a vibration, an energetic blueprint being handed to the universe with every breath, and the universe does not respond to noise. It responds to being. You may think you're just speaking, but every phrase that leaves your mouth is a mirror of the version of you you're still embodying. That's why some sentences, even when they sound spiritual, are quietly scripting delay. They're seeds dressed in light but rooted in fear. Neville Goddard warned us, words reveal the state. It's never about the phrase itself, it's about the frequency hidden within it. A sentence like, "I'm manifesting money" can seem aligned, but if the soul behind it is saying, "I still don't have it," the outer world listens to the silence beneath the sound, not the surface of the statement. And maybe you've felt that dissonance too. You affirm abundance every morning, write your intentions at night, repeat the mantras that others swear by, and yet something still feels paused, delayed, like reality is half listening. That's not failure. That's revelation. It's not that you're doing it wrong. It's that your identity, the version of you behind the words, is still echoing a past frequency. You speak abundance, but do you breathe it? You write wealth, but does your nervous system believe it's safe to receive? Bruce Lipton calls this the epigenetic language of energy. Your words are not just thoughts, they are biological signals, turning on or shutting down the expression of your potential. Every time you say, "Hopefully it comes soon," your cells hear, "It's not here." Every time you whisper, "I'm trying," your brain codes it as uncertainty. And so your reality waits. Not because you're unworthy, but because your language tells it to. That's why 2025 is not the year of manifesting harder. It's the year of manifesting cleaner, with vibrational accuracy, with linguistic precision, because when your words become exact reflections of your embodied identity, reality has no choice but to obey. This is the new paradigm. You don't align by force, you align by language. Not the language of desperate affirmations, but the sacred vocabulary of someone who already is. So today we'll walk together through 10 subtle but powerful phrases, 5 that delay your dreams and 4 that recalibrate your field. Not to shame what you've been saying, but to reveal the invisible patterns keeping your future in waiting. You're not here to repeat. You're here to realign. Let's begin. I'm manifesting money. It sounds empowered, doesn't it? Hopeful, intentional, almost sacred. But if you listen closely, there's a whisper behind those words, a quiet admission, "I don't have it yet." And it's that unspoken identity, one of lack, one of separation, that the universe echoes back. Neville never told us to affirm what we want. He told us to become the one who already lives in the fulfillment. He said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not the wish imagined, not the wish requested, but the wish already integrated. When you say, "I'm manifesting money," you place the wealth outside of yourself into some invisible tomorrow. You may feel like you're moving toward it, but vibrationally, you're reinforcing the belief that it is not yet here. And so your external world holds its breath, waiting for your inner world to release the need, and instead, become. Because to manifest consciously is not to ask, it's to embody, not to project the desire, but to carry the energy of already having received, not as fantasy, but as reality lived inwardly first. Words are spells, and this one casts time. It delays by nature. It assumes a gap, a journey, a not yet. So what if instead of saying, "I'm manifesting money," you whispered silently, "I walk as wealth, I breathe as one who already has"? What if you removed the distance between you and the thing you seek by speaking not about the process, but from the presence? It is not about denying your desire. It's about no longer placing it in the future. The future does not give you anything. The present does. And your identity, your spoken self, is the invitation or the rejection of what you've asked for. So speak not like a seeker. Speak like the one who already knows, already owns, already is. Hopefully it will come soon. Hope can feel like light, but sometimes it's the softest disguise for waiting. And waiting, when worn as identity, becomes a vibrational delay, not because the universe withholds, but because your frequency says, "Not yet." Hopefully it will come soon sounds harmless, even faithful, but behind that hope often lives a subtle fear. What if it doesn't? Embedded in hopefully is uncertainty. Embedded in soon is postponement, and your inner world listens. Joe Dispenza teaches that hope born from survival mode doesn't elevate you, it traps you. When the brain is in beta stress, it doesn't create from wholeness. It searches, scans, analyzes. It prepares for disappointment, and the body follows. So what begins as a sentence of trust becomes energetically a signal of lack. You speak of the thing as a future visitor, not a present companion. And again, the universe matches your frequency, not your phrasing. Every time you say soon, you push it further down the timeline. Soon never arrives. It's always becoming, never being. And this keeps your nervous system in a loop of anticipation. Never relaxation, never reception. But the ones who receive are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who stabilize the energy of arrival. They regulate their breath to the rhythm of fulfillment. They drop the word soon because they have made space now. You don't need to hope for what is already encoded in your field. You need to align your language with the identity that lives it. That's not arrogance, that's coherence. So shift from, hopefully it will come soon, to a gentler, truer statement. It is already unfolding in unseen ways. Let that phrase soften your body. Let it wrap around your doubt like a quiet hand on your shoulder. Because the truth is, it's not waiting to arrive. It's waiting for you to stop postponing it with your words. I just need to. It begins so innocently. I just need to meditate more. I just need to align better. I just need to raise my vibration. But hidden beneath this phrase is the quiet voice of unworthiness. The part of you that still believes there's something to fix before you're allowed to receive. This sentence doesn't scream limitation. It whispers it. It dresses as action, as progress, as self-awareness. But if you tune in more deeply, it reveals a subtle delay pattern. The belief that you're not quite there yet. That your desire is valid, but only once you've done more, healed more, become more. The spiritual journey can easily turn into a performance of readiness, but the universe doesn't respond to how many steps you've completed. It responds to the identity you inhabit. It listens not to your effort, but to your embodiment. When you say, I just need to, you're unintentionally affirming that who you are now is not enough. And so the mirror of reality reflects that hesitation. Not because you are unworthy, but because you keep speaking as someone still becoming, rather than someone who already is. This is not a dismissal of growth. It's an invitation to stop placing your becoming in front of your being. The truth is, aligned action flows naturally from identity. You don't need to convince yourself to act when your state has already shifted. Action is no longer a means to get. It's an expression of who you've become. So instead of saying, I just need to, what if the sentence became, I already am, and from this state, I move. Let your words catch up to your truth. Let them reflect a self no longer seeking entry, but claiming presence. Because your life doesn't change when you do more. It changes when you speak from the state of already being the one who no longer needs to chase. You're not waiting to be ready. You're remembering that you already are. I'm trying. Few words carry as much hidden exhaustion as this one. I'm trying sounds noble. It sounds committed. But if you feel into it, really feel, it carries the weight of someone climbing, striving, pushing against an invisible wall. And that wall is not reality. It's identity. To try is to affirm resistance. To try is to confirm distance between you and what you desire. In the vibration of trying, you're not yet. You're becoming. But not becoming from a place of inner knowing. Becoming from a place of lack. Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He didn't say try to get there. He didn't say attempt, experiment, or struggle into alignment. He said, assume. An assumption is not effort. It is occupancy. A quiet inner decision that you no longer hope, wish, or try. You dwell. Trying is rehearsed failure in slow motion. It may be sincere, but it's often heavy with doubt, and the energy behind it becomes your echo. When you keep saying, I'm trying, what you're really affirming is, I haven't yet become. And the world, like a mirror that doesn't blink, reflects that back. But you can shift. You can speak from the identity of one who is no longer trying, but tuning. No longer pushing, but embodying. What if your words became, I'm rehearsing the energy of having already received? Let that sink into your nervous system. Let your shoulders drop. There is no fight in that phrase. Only alignment. Creation isn't a performance. It's an internal choreography. And your words are part of the dance. Choose the ones that match the rhythm of already being. Because the moment you stop trying and start assuming, reality begins bending toward you with quiet precision. You're not here to try. You're here to remember. And remembering requires no effort. Just presence. Just truth. Just you. Without resistance. Before we move on, pause with this thought. If your words are creating your world, what else might be speaking through you without your awareness? If this message is opening something within you, if it feels like it's naming things you've sensed but never quite voiced, then check the pinned comment. There's something there that speaks the same language as you're becoming. Not louder, just clearer. Why isn't it working yet? This question often arrives in moments of silence, when you've meditated, visualized, affirmed, and yet the outer world still looks unchanged. You whisper it not with anger, but with quiet ache. Why isn't it working yet? But beneath that question lies a deeper declaration. Something is broken. Maybe it's me. This is not curiosity. This is doubt disguised as logic. It's the mind's way of seeking proof while the soul knows that proof comes after the assumption, not before. When you question the delay, you are no longer living in the end. You are diagnosing the absence, and your vibration shifts accordingly, from creation to confusion, from faith to fragmentation. Neville taught, your assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. He didn't say it had to feel true. He didn't say you had to understand the mechanics. He said, persist. Because the universe isn't reacting to your effort, it's reflecting your identity. But when you ask, why isn't it working? You interrupt that persistence. You open the door to mental negotiation, and with that door open, your focus leaks, your power disperses, and the bridge of incidents that was quietly forming begins to dissolve. This question is a loop. It offers no exit, only more waiting. It feeds the illusion that manifestation is external, something to be unlocked rather than unveiled from within. But here's the quiet truth. If it feels delayed, it's not because you're wrong. It's because your awareness has drifted from embodiment to evaluation, from being to checking, from presence to proof-seeking. So instead of, why isn't it working yet? Let the silence become a statement. Let your presence say, it is working, even now, especially now, in ways I cannot yet see. Let that be enough. Because the most powerful creators don't question the seeds they've planted. They live as if the roots are already growing, deep beneath the surface. And that kind of faith doesn't ask when. It only declares, it is done. It's done now, I'm tuning into the experience. There's a sacred shift that happens when you no longer speak from longing, but from landing, from desire to embodiment. And this sentence is one of those sacred pivots. It's done, now I'm tuning into the experience. It carries both certainty and softness. It acknowledges the unseen completion and opens the door to gentle reception. This isn't a technique, it's a frequency recalibration, a way to anchor the nervous system in the truth that the work is not in the doing, it's in the being. You are no longer trying to create the experience. You are aligning with the vibration that it's already yours. This changes everything. Because when you declare something as done, you remove the urgency. You interrupt the cycle of proving. You shift your identity from seeker to steward, and the body relaxes. The breath deepens. The heart returns to coherence. This is not pretending. It's precision. You're not fabricating a reality. You're syncing with the field where it already exists. Joe Dispenza would say, you memorize the future by feeling it now. And this phrase holds that memory like a vessel. It's done. Feel the weight of that. Not heavy, but rooted. Complete. And then, now I'm tuning into the experience. Not forcing, not grasping, simply attuning. As if the moment you speak it, reality is already shifting to meet you. This sentence doesn't just affirm, it soothes, it regulates. It brings you back to the inner altar where creation always begins. And from that space, what you desire doesn't need to be pulled into your world. It's already waiting, quietly, for your full arrival. I don't chase because I already live inside it. There's a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't beg, plead, or perform. It simply exists, fully settled in its own frequency. That is the energy behind this sentence. I don't chase because I already live inside it. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the language of someone who has remembered who they are. Chasing implies that what you seek is running away, that it lives outside of you, just out of reach. But in truth, nothing you're meant to have is ever escaping. What feels distant is often just unclaimed, not because it's not there, but because you're still seeing it as separate. When you say, "I already live inside it," you collapse that illusion of distance. You stop projecting the desire outward and instead become the container that holds it. This is inverse assumption. The desire doesn't live out there. It lives through you. It breathes with you. It moves as you. And from this frequency, you don't act to prove. You don't hustle to attract. You walk like the embodiment of already having. The world responds not to your wanting, but to your being, to your stillness, to your unshakable knowing. This is the essence of quiet luxury. It's not about material display. It's about the inner posture of someone who does not need to convince. They simply are. You can feel it in their tone, in their pace, in their presence. They don't chase because their reality is not a pursuit, it's a permission. So let these words become a cloak around you. Let them dress your thoughts, your actions, your gaze. I don't chase, because I already live inside it. Not someday, not almost. Now. And the more you embody that truth, the more your external life stops running and starts reflecting. This version of me naturally receives it. There is a version of you, not far, not fictional, but already formed, who receives with grace. Not because they've done more, healed more, or waited longer, but because they've remembered that receiving is not an act of worthiness. It's a reflection of identity. This version of me naturally receives it. This sentence isn't about becoming. It's about choosing. It's about stepping into the self who doesn't question if they can have it, because having it is simply part of who they are. This is the energy of the Galatea effect, the psychological truth that your belief in your own potential creates congruent behavior. When you trust who you've become, your actions, decisions, and energy all begin to align with that belief. You stop forcing outcomes. You start embodying inevitability. And this sentence affirms that alignment without pressure. There's no demand, no grasping, just recognition, a gentle knowing. The version of me who lives in fulfillment already exists, and I no longer need to reach for them. I am them. When you say, "This version of me naturally receives it," you collapse resistance. You no longer try to make the manifestation happen. You let it unfold from within the self that is already aligned. This is where self-image becomes magnetism, not because you've added more confidence, but because you've removed the layers that denied your power. The version of you who receives is not out of reach. They are right here waiting for you to stop disqualifying yourself. Speak from them, think like them, walk as them, and most of all, speak words that match their frequency, not because you need to pretend, but because it's finally safe to be who you truly are. You are not arriving there. You are remembering here, and this version of you receives with ease. I see evidence of it all around me. Your world is not just a canvas, it's a mirror, not of your thoughts alone, but of your identity. And when you say, "I see evidence of it all around me," you are training your eyes to recognize what your soul already knows. That reality is responsive, not random. This sentence isn't about positive thinking, it's about perceptual alignment. It activates a deep part of your brain called the reticular activating system, the filter that decides what you notice, what you ignore, and what you experience as truth. And when you speak as if the desire is already here, your mind begins to seek confirmation, not contradiction. This is not mental trickery, it's spiritual coherence. You are telling your inner world, "Look again, look through the lens of fulfillment." And suddenly the smallest signs become sacred symbols. A conversation, a number, a glance, a moment of peace, all become echoes of what you've claimed. But here's the real shift. You're not just noticing signs, you're creating a new pattern of receptivity. You are allowing your nervous system to relax into the reality that the wish fulfilled is no longer a fantasy, it's a frequency, and you're tuned to it. When you say, "I see evidence of it all around me," you become an active participant in your own unfolding. You're not waiting to believe after the manifestation. You're believing your way into its visibility. This changes your posture in the world. You stop scanning for what's missing. You start anchoring what's already present. And from that posture, reality moves differently. Not because it suddenly changed, but because you did. And that's the secret. The evidence has always been there. It's not about waiting for more. It's about noticing what you were trained to overlook. Because the universe is not silent. It's just speaking a language you're finally ready to understand. Speak from the end, not about the end. There is a quiet line that divides those who long from those who live. And that line is not drawn by effort, time, or worthiness. It is drawn by language, the language of identity. The words we choose do not merely describe our desires, they expose the seat from which we speak. And this difference, though subtle in sound, is absolute in effect. When you say, "I want to manifest, I hope it happens, or one day it will come," you are not just sharing a dream. You are confirming a distance. Your speech becomes a signal of separation, a declaration that what you desire is still ahead of you, outside of you, beyond your reach. And the universe, always listening, always mirroring, organizes itself around that belief. But when you shift, when you dare to speak from the end, not of it, but from it, everything changes. Because then your words are no longer shaped by absence, they are sculpted from presence. You no longer say, "I'm creating abundance." You say, "I move through life as one who already owns it." You no longer say, "I want to be chosen." You whisper, "I walk with the knowing that I am deeply loved now." Neville Goddard was relentless in this truth. He didn't ask us to beg the universe. He didn't ask us to wait for signs. He asked us to live in the state of the wish fulfilled, to breathe it, to dress it, to make it so natural that your world must conform. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is not fantasy. It is the physics of consciousness. Because reality, as Greg Braden often reminds us, is not objective. It is reactive. It bends not to what you demand, but to what you embody. The challenge is that many speak from desire without realizing they are reinforcing lack. "I want to attract clients. I hope money flows soon." These phrases seem innocent, but they are soaked in the vibration of almost, and almost never arrives, because the frequency of "not yet" can never produce "already here." To speak from the end is to train the nervous system into stability. It's to soothe the compulsive checking, the inner questioning, the hunger for proof. You stop narrating your life like it's pending. You speak as if it's printed, published, real. And even if the outer world has not yet rearranged, the inner world has already decided. This is not about blind faith. It's about vibrational authority. When you speak as the one who already is, you are not performing. You are remembering. You are realigning. You are summoning your world to reflect your truth, not your trauma. There is a reason the most powerful people don't explain what they're manifesting. They speak like it's done. They walk like it's normal. Because in their field, it already is. So begin listening to your own language, not to judge, but to refine. Notice where your words point to the future instead of radiating from presence. And then, slowly, lovingly, change the direction. Speak not to summon, speak to stabilize, not to convince, but to confirm. Because the end you've been speaking about is already whispering through you. You only need to stop reaching and start responding. Your vocabulary is your vibrational signature. Refine it, and reality reconfigures. Every moment, you are speaking yourself into existence. Not just with grand declarations, but with the smallest, quietest choices of language. The way you describe your day, the way you respond when asked how you're doing, the way you speak about your finances, your body, your future. Every word carries a code. Every sentence, a signal. You are not simply using language, you are being used by it, unless you awaken. And awakening begins with awareness of the subtle, of the tones you've normalized, of the phrases that have grown so familiar they now live in your nervous system, breathing without permission. This is not about becoming hypervigilant or overly technical. It's about becoming intimate with the power that has always been yours. The power to speak not from hope, but from embodiment. Not from longing, but from identity. Neville Goddard did not speak of words as decorations. He spoke of them as the expression of your internal state. Be aware of what you say, for you are always calling into being. This is not metaphor. It is metaphysics. It is neurobiology. It is vibration crystallizing into form. The reason most people feel blocked in their manifestations is not because they don't believe. It's because their language fractures their frequency. They affirm abundance at 9 a.m., worry about bills at 10, say I hope it works out at noon, and speak of trying their best by evening. Their words are pulling in opposite directions, not because they lack effort, but because they lack alignment. There's a kind of spiritual fatigue that comes from this contradiction, a tiredness not of the body, but of the soul. You start wondering, why is nothing changing? You begin to think something is wrong with you, but the truth is simpler and kinder. The current of your creation is leaking through the cracks in your speech, and that's why this matters. Not because words are magic spells in the way we've been taught to believe, but because they are mirrors. They reflect your chosen identity, and identity is what the universe listens to, not the volume of your desire, not the tears in your prayers, but the being behind the sound. Bruce Lipton taught us that words are not just communication, they are activation. Repeated words create emotional grooves. Emotional grooves create chemical environments. And chemical environments either open you to creation or bind you to survival. This is why someone can say abundance all day long and still feel stuck. Because the way they say it, the body hears stress, doubt, performance, not power. To shift your life, you must first shift your linguistic signature, not by becoming someone you're not, but by returning to the version of you that never forgot, the version that knows how to speak from the end. That doesn't narrate the absence of the dream but describes the world from within it. You already know this version. It's the one who speaks with certainty that needs no proof, the one who doesn't need to be loud to be clear, the one who walks into a room and says nothing, but reality responds anyway. So ask yourself, not as judgment but as revelation, who is speaking when you talk about your desires? Is it the one who's waiting, the one who's almost, or the one who is? You can begin to shift gently, not with force, but with sacred precision. Replace "I'm trying to get there" with "I'm settling into it." Replace "one day it'll happen" with "it's unfolding in me now." Replace "I need to figure it out" with "clarity is already rising in me." These are not affirmations, they are recalibrations. They are spoken agreements with the version of you that already lives the reality you seek. And the beauty is that the universe doesn't need convincing. It needs coherence. It needs the words you speak to match the vibration you carry. When that alignment is real, external results become inevitable, because your frequency has become undeniable. This is not about perfection. You will still wobble. You will still have moments where fear rises, where the old phrases return, where you want to scream, "Why isn't it working?" But now you'll recognize those moments not as failures, but as invitations. Invitations to pause, to breathe, to remember, and to speak again, not from the noise of the mind, but from the stillness of the end. When you speak from the end, you don't explain your desire. You express it. You don't talk about what you want. You speak from the place of already living it. And that is when language becomes power, not because you said the right thing, but because you became the one who no longer doubts. Everything in your life can be reconfigured, not because you force it, but because you finally give it clear instruction. You stop sending mixed signals. You stop speaking like someone auditioning for their own life, and you begin to speak like someone already cast in the role of their highest self. This is what it means to refine your vocabulary, not with better words, but with truer ones. Words that carry no tension, words that breathe, words that don't reach, but rest. Because when you speak from knowing, reality no longer resists. The universe is not delayed. It is precise. It is coded to your self-concept. And your self-concept is written, moment by moment, through your language. So listen, not just to the words, but to the tone, the breath, the assumption underneath. Speak like you belong to the life you want. Speak like you remember that nothing has ever been missing, only misnamed. You are not placing an order with your affirmations. You are not casting spells with your scripts. You are describing the life that is already yours in vibration and allowing the physical to catch up. Imagine this, a version of you who never begs the universe again, who never waits for signs, who walks into every day with the language of fulfillment stitched into their silence, who says not "I hope," but "I know," not "I wish," but "I witness," not "I'm trying," but "I've become." That version is not a fantasy. That version is what your words are building, every moment, every sentence, every pause. So speak not to attract. Speak to affirm what already is. Speak from the table, not from the window. Speak as the one who knows the meal has been served, the place set, the moment arrived. You don't need louder affirmations. You need cleaner alignment. And alignment begins with the way you speak, not to the world but to yourself. Your vocabulary is your vibrational signature. Refine it, and reality reconfigures, silently, powerfully, infallibly, because you are not waiting for the life you want. You are speaking as the one who already lives it.